questions, and some are general and some relate specific to District 4, and I'll go to the District 4 ones first. Over the spring break, we were told that the Pine Hills District, which includes a portion of Pine Hills neighborhood and some multifamily housing off of Lennox Road, will be included into the Sarah Smith population. And as I look at the numbers, and I worked with Kabe yesterday, I've been assured that the multifamily housing, as well as an estimate of the public to private, as well as looking at census data from 2010 of 0 to 4-year-olds has been included in that. And I guess if you can assure my constituents of that, as well as speak a little bit to the 1 to 22 ratio, as that has been our planning capacity. I think that's a little bit different than what our enrollment capacity is anticipated to be realistically.
We are quite confident with regard to the Smith Elementary issue and moving the area of Pine Hills. That really, it took 127 students who would be moved into the area. The planning capacity at Smith is 1320 in terms of planning capacity. So at 1 to 22, we feel pretty confident that the school will be able to hold the additional students who have been recommended to zone in to Smith. Also, that's a 1 to 22, 1 to 25 in grades 1 through 3, and grades 4 through 8 is 1 to 28. We don't think, based on our projections, we have assurances, and we're pretty confident in that assurance, that Smith will have the capacity, the ability to absorb those 127 students. And we've worked through those numbers consistently, and we've tested it and retested it. I think it would be fair to say with regard to making sure that we have the appropriate capacity.
Yeah, if I could go on that, but there is a continuing misunderstanding between planning capacity and planning ratios and our operating ratios. Planning ratios are essentially what we use to build buildings. And we're making our plans there under the assumption that, again, if we were to have the luxury of having 22 per class, we would have this many classrooms. Now, 1320 and 22 per classroom implies 60 classrooms there. The operating ratios are much higher than 1 to 22. In fact, the grades 4 and 5 are 1 to 30. Again, that's 8 students higher. And if you multiply that by 60 classrooms, you're talking really the difference between 480 students that you could accommodate with our present operating ratios. But grades 1 to 3 are a little lower, they're 1 to 25. In kindergarten, it's 1 to 23. But and I don't know if it's in front of me, but I believe the peak enrollment, even with the new numbers, is something like 1367 before it starts going down, which means that that's about 1 to 23 classroom, which is right at the kindergarten ratio for the entire school. And so there's not a capacity issue. There's not.
Will this data be online, or is this put online today?
We can put that out.
Okay.
We can easily put that out.
Okay. And then we will continue to monitor Garden Hills, because this, by no stretch of the imagination, takes them out of their overcapacity issue, but we will continually monitor.
Just, again, I don't want to use planning capacity for the same mistake that I just said people do, but even compared to the planning capacity, the transferring out, which is about 107, I think, % of the planning capacity, which again is in a 1.2 ratio. So when you start to use the larger numbers, I'm sure the actual capacity utilization would be well over 100%.
Okay, then 2 other questions. Has there been consideration to housing special needs students within each cluster where we do have excess capacity? capacity, so that these students aren't going from cluster to cluster across the city?
I do know that we had in the CI area, when we